These are Maru and Roxy. They are homeless or still homeless animals. That is, they have no home and are homeless and live day by day on the street, where, like many of their brothers, they are exposed to a lot of dangers and difficulties. And why are there homeless animals at all? Where do these homeless animals come from? Often, people just take an emotional decision to take a pet. They see a cute animal on the window of a pet store, on the street, or on a picture online, and they don't even think about whether they can really take care of it. And then they start to regret it, because they were not well prepared that she would grow hair, she would bark, she would growl, she would want to walk 3 times a day, she would make a mess, she would need food and medical care, and at one point the animal was left on the street. Sometimes it happens that the family does not want more pets. For example, they are expecting a baby and are worried that the animal may harm the baby, or they move abroad or even develop an allergy. Then, in the best case, the stepfather starts looking for a new home for the animal. However, this does not happen easily and quickly, and soon the dog or cat gets lost on the street. In other cases, when, unfortunately, a nomad dies, the relatives rarely want or can take care of his animal. If they do not have the patience to look for him a new family, he will call himself out again. The nomads of the domestic dogs, however, rarely castrate them. At the same time, it is the domestic dogs that are one of the main sources of the unwanted generation, with which the nomads pretend to just throw him out. Wait a minute, why do sheep leave their puppies to give birth to small ones if they will throw them out after that? Often because of 2 or 3 myths on this topic, which we will debunk now. One is that animals want to be parents. The other is that the animal must give birth once for health, and both myths are not true. Animals breed not because they love to be parents, but because breeding has an instinct. In fact, it is better for the health of your dog or cat to castrate it, because this significantly reduces the likelihood of disease in them. Castration is also the best and safest way to control the population of homeless dogs and cats. There is a third reason, and that is that the nomads believe that they will easily find owners for the little ones. Because look how cute they are. Yes, some of them will be given to relatives and friends, but if they stay, they will probably be thrown out. The gifted cattle are born in turn, and this is how the streets begin to be filled with unwanted pets. Do you know how many dogs can appear out of only 2 uncastrated animals in 5 years? You probably don't know. Now, I've heard the question, okay, but why is it so bad for them to have homeless animals on the street? After all, someone will give them food or water, or they will find it themselves. They are free, they go wherever they want. But on the street they flash with many difficulties and dangers. Such are, for example, cars that can flash, broken or poisonous food that makes them sick, fireworks and pirates that cause them incredible stress, heat in the summer and cold in the winter. Because of these things, the life of street dogs and cats is much shorter and less valuable, and they themselves become more distrustful and fearful of people. In addition, let's look at the topic from a human perspective. Not everyone loves dogs or cats, there are people who are afraid of them. It can also lead to conflict situations. For example, a street dog, frightened by a passing bicycle, can bark or even chase its predator. Or a street dog that guards its territory can show aggression towards domestic dogs and their flock, which are walking in the park or on the street. Not to mention that it often happens, especially with cats, to hunt birds or small lizards, which in this way change the balance in the environment. It is also possible for a frightened street dog or cat to jump on the sidewalk and cause an accident or, in an attempt to find food, to spread a bottle of coffee and so on. Okay. Let's say I convinced you that the place of the dogs and cats is not on the street. Now let's see how we can help there are no stray animals. First of all, let's realize how important it is to be good and responsible and understand that the pet is not a Tamagotchi, it is not a toy, but part of our family, and accordingly, it is good to think about whether we are ready and we can take good care of it. The next step, so to speak, would be to take a decision to adopt an animal from the shelter. This way we would help at least one animal to be less homeless. Another important step is to castrate our domestic dogs and cats, even the homeless dogs in front of the block. At least I told you why this is important. And how do you know if someone is a homeless dog or a cat is castrated or not? Look at his ears. The promise of the ear at the dog or the slightly cut half of the ear of the cat marks exactly this. Help us talk to our family and friends about the homeless animals, where they come from, how they live, what difficulties and problems they face, and why there is no need for Roxy to be born twice a year from the neighboring dog Sharo. You remember the pyramid from a little while ago, right? Of course, if you have a desire to help with something else, you can volunteer in the shelters for homeless animals and thus give your time or money to their inhabitants. The walk that you will give, so to speak, can take you a few hours from the weekend, but for them it is a saving, long-awaited moment outside the cage and time spent in the game and human contact. If you're wondering why you're doing all this, I'll tell you again. Because it's not safe for dogs and cats to live on the street, to wander around every day with the dangers outside and to survive on their own. It's also not good for people to share the urban environment with homeless animals. And in the end, we, the people, have sheltered the dogs and cats to live with us as our friends and helpers. It's not right now, in the 21st century, to leave them outside. Remember that by helping others, you yourself become a better and responsible person and make our environment better and healthier. Try it. You will see how satisfying it is.